Whenever the premise of a question or whatever asks you if you should be worried or perhaps talks about some kind of a concern, you want to ensure that you assess and see if it will cause you concern. Because I don't know what it is, but I've noticed a ramp up in the conversation about Windows from the perspective of gaming. Since the Xbox ROG Ally X, and Xbox ROG Ally were launched, it seems like everybody now has this new, we just go to SteamOS, because we installed SteamOS and all this talk. Okay. Now, here's the challenge, though. Every time you hear this concern metric, just do one thing. Go ahead and juxtapose it with the data that's available to you. This is one way you're going to be able to go ahead and see what it is that you're actually, maybe wanting to be concerned about. This Digital Foundry video is also very interesting because there's a question from an audience member of theirs, maybe their Patreon, who's asking them something along the lines of this. So let's listen to the first few minutes. I don't think I'll listen to the whole thing. And then I'll point out what I think is right now a very interesting perspective with Windows and all its flaws, but this new concentration on gaming, of which I game on Windows, and I don't face these issues, and many others who game on Windows continue to use Windows. I'm not saying whether or not they face issues. I don't know. I can't speak about them. There are issues in other areas, but they still continue to use Windows. What's going on here?
Concerned might Microsoft be that a new Steam Deck and possibly a Steam Box could see Valve stealing attention away from an Xbox transition to Windows? Satya Nadella himself has called Valve out as arguably winning the digital marketplace race for PC thus far. Valve's not the only one selling gaming devices in the PC space, of course, but unlike ASUS, MSI, etc., they own the dominant storefront and ship a Linux OS, where Microsoft's ability to build in Microsoft apps and sell on services to end users is very limited. Couple Xbox decline in reputation with the general love of Steam.
Hold on. Xbox decline in reputation is a fantasy that is made up by the internet. It is not based in reality, and it is one that this questionnaire wants to export into Windows. Those of you on Xbox, this is why I'm telling you to be very careful when you actually find yourself with these cohorts. They are not interested in Valve's so-called perceived market share. They're only interested in every way to diminish everything that Xbox is associated with. We've been gaming on PC for a minute and embracing all of the flaws that have come with it. This new so-called user base that is now identifying these flaws to make it seem like, it's the worst thing ever, I gotta tell you, some of them, that their motives are not pure. They are not looking forward to the best outlook for Windows and such. Why? We are aware of these problems. Many of them have refused to play on PC because of these perceived problems, even though the perception they have about these problems are either user error or software developer error that is not marrying Windows properly. And Windows has its flaws. For instance, how we know that this particular questionnaire is about to pretty much go ahead and fugazi their way through this is because we already know that the operating systems, in terms of majority market share, Windows is 94.84% of the market share. Let me go ahead and say this. Valve is happy with Windows. Why? They don't need to worry about an operating system that they don't have to go ahead and manage, maintain, update, and see to its well-being. They are a marketplace winner. That's what this question asks. It sounds like a hodgepodge of 9-day-old porridge. Listen to this person again. Look at this. Check this out.
Etc. They own the dominant storefront and ship a Linux OS, where Microsoft's ability to build in Microsoft apps and sell on services to end users is very limited. Couple Xbox decline in reputation with the general love of Steam, seems Microsoft is in a bit of a vulnerable position in this segment. On the flip side, a successful MS transition of Xbox to Windows looks to be good business for Valve, who are still selling games through their platform.
This is one of those 70-30% arguments, but it's now being framed in the Valve wins, Valve wins, Valve wins. But all these people fail to realize that the segment of Windows that actually does bring desktop PCs and all of its apps and all of the benefits to Microsoft is not being considered here. If you gave Valve a card and said, in this card, if you open it up, you basically become the giant called Microsoft and have all their resources and have everything at your beck and call. Or this card, you keep Valve, Gabe's going to take the Microsoft card. You know, what's crazy is he's also cut from that cloth of Microsoft, and he's not interested. Their company's not interested in doing this thing with Microsoft. People don't realize how much resources it actually takes to actually go ahead and run an operating system of such. Like, they don't realize that Valve is not interested in doing that. They're happy to run a tight ship. Use the Steam operating system if you want. Use a Steam Deck if you want. Use a Windows computer. We hope you do. I mean, think about it. We hope you do. We don't got to update. We don't have to update. We don't have to, worry about it, because as they brought hardware to the market, that's extra resources. Now they got to go there and fine tune a new fork, a new branch on the thing. It's more than likely eating their resources. This is why it's taking such a slow pace in doing it. And it brings us now to this whole thing, which is, when did all of this so-called Steam OS talk, if basically taking market share, when did it actually pop out? Because from what I know, this Steam OS right in front of me device, this is my Steam Deck, this is my my Xbox Ally X. This device, this one right here, in computing is a more competent device than this device. How do I know? I own them both. How did I find out? I tried them both. What context did I actually, realize that it's better? This one has multitasking capabilities, which is what Windows is designed for. And this one does not really have the multitasking capabilities that are accessible to me immediately. If I go to desktop mode, I'm still locked out of a whole lot of stuff. Whereas here, my entire library moves with me without any challenges that I faced while I was here. That by itself is why you're seeing that 94% of gamers who use Steam are using Steam via Windows. It's not because these cats can't go out there and start tinkering. Many of them can go out there and tinker. But the tinkering is highly unnecessary when there's a company who's dedicated to tinker on your behalf. Yes, sometimes they'll drop the ball. Yes, sometimes they'll, basically fumble the bag. Yes, in many cases, they'll have issues. But why would I want to go ahead and bother with doing all of that? This is why I laugh at every single person that's like, man, I just love the way, SteamOS works. So I dual boot I'm like, you're dual booting? Why are you dual booting? That's the question. Why are you dual booting to accomplish the exact same thing? If, say, you were dual booting, say, for another entire operating system that gave you an entire different set of functionality that the raw Windows couldn't necessarily give you, or made it even much more robust in that area. For instance, I got a whole PC here that I can dual boot into a server that I'm building. Okay, fine. I'm trying to construct a Linux server out of this thing, as a construct, because it feels like it, right? And so I got an entire hard drive that's basically mapped towards all of my server settings and all of my server, modules and whatever it is I want to go in there. I've picked out my distro in Linux. Wonderful. Not saying that you shouldn't do this, but I'm just saying, like, what is your goal and aim and benefit? Because if it's Arkham City I want to play, I can play Arkham City here and I can play Arkham City here. What is essentially, and what is the inherent difference that's making everybody lose their collective minds in this particular area? Now, there are, again, like I'm saying, there are general concerns. Like, again, one general concern for me as a Windows user is if I wanted to set up a server, it's not as intuitive and flexible as I would get from the Linux distros. So that's a functionality piece. It's a broad spec use case and a need and a requirement. But in the case of gaming, it's like, bro, you install Steam and you move. Like, you know what I mean? Like, nobody is freaking out. Nobody is tweaking on you. Get the Steam and get the games. That's it. y'all act like it's the end of the world. And I'm looking at everybody going, bro, have I not been gaming since like 2016 on this thing? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, have I not been, like, you know what I mean? No, have I not been gaming since literally the 90s on this thing? Seeing as Windows has come a long ways away. You know, inherently, what am I losing? What am I missing out on? 5 FPS? Can't see it. 3 FPS? Can't see it. Not saying that Steam has not done work to go ahead and map the experience for gaming alone. But if your concern is, oh, I prefer an experience that goes straight into gaming and limits the use case, gotcha. But all this talk of Windows is terrible for gaming talk, you're going to have to prove it. And that's the problem y'all are going to face. Because once we watch the benchmarks, everybody that makes that 20-minute video, by the time they get to 17 minutes, they tell you the 4 or 5 games that run better on SteamOS or, Bazite. And everybody closes the video and stays on their Windows operating system. It's just this continuous hype and disappointment cycle y'all are going through. And Valve is not interested in joining y'all in it. They really are not. They're just happy where they are as it's free money for them. Even the questionnaire here had to say it. Oh, even if it is, it does, they make sure. Windows isn't bothered and Valve isn't bothered. They're all working together. Microsoft just wants you on Windows, as you'll eventually give them money some way, somehow on Windows via whichever proxy. Is it Microsoft Word? Is it Microsoft Office? Is it one of their services? Are you on Azure? Are you on all these other Microsoft services that we have? Do you want a Windows server? Do you want to take on virtualization? Do you want a new operating system? They have multiple structures of getting money from you that the 30% that Valve is over here sitting and making is chump change. How are y'all not getting this? You know what? Let me just leave y'all to keep saying this. It's fine, because this is how y'all miss the boat and run to the wrong things instead of giving pure and good criticisms of Windows, which are there and exist. But because everybody wants to feel like a sophisticated, snide, remarky console warrior by running through Valve's, my 30% of it's in nonsense, you miss the entire boat. And we're watching you look at this surface level nonsense that you're doing, and we can identify hidden console warriors hiding behind these questions, as they have nothing else to talk about on Windows, which is broader and has way deeper problems than this gaming thing that they're talking about. And the perspective is all lost. I'm out. Comment section, peace out.